Hey, we are live, and it is the Tim Gillette Show. Hi, guys. I'm your host, Tim Gillette, and we are back with another cool person. After all, we only interview the coolest people on the planet. Today's guest is just another one of a great example of someone who's really cool. I met a couple weeks ago through another conference I was involved in, and is like, hey, man, I want to have you on the podcast. Heck yeah. He's like, yeah, I want to come on. I want to, and I know very little about this guy today, Ivan. Today, we're going to find out when we're live on camera, other than we've had a conversation while we were in a chat room at another event. Very informative person, very knowledgeable person. So I'm sure I'm going to gain wisdom today, take notes, things like that. But we're going to find out who he is and how he helps people today together. You ready? Here we go. Ivan Remus, how are you, my friend?
Hello. How you doing, Tim? Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for receiving me in your house. Hello.
Hey, man, it's been a few weeks. It was Ross's event, right? We met at Ross
Brand's
event.
Yeah. That is correct. The VIP gathering that he got after the summit, that's where we met. Yeah. That is correct.
Ross is a great guy, a great friend of our show. So we've always appreciated him, and he's connected to me to some great people around the world, as well as I've connected him to some great people I know around the world. So
excellent.
Yeah. What part of the world are you coming to us from today?
Very close to you.
Very close to me?
Closer than you can possibly imagine.
Oh?
635 exit 3.
Exit 3.
Dallas, Texas.
You're in my neighborhood today, huh?
I am. You are around exit 18 to 21, something like that. At 19, somewhere around. I think it's where you are.
Yeah, I'm in North Dallas. I'm up off the George Bush Turnpike. So
got it.
Got it.
I am in the southeast part of Dallas. At least for a couple of more years.
Oh, okay. So have you lived in Dallas your whole life, or you just moved here?
No, I moved to Dallas 7 years ago. Before that, I lived in Puerto Rico for 20 years.
Wow.
Where I had a lot of fun living in Puerto Rico. And then 7 years ago, I decided to move to Dallas.
Wow. See, Puerto Rico is a place I've never visited, Ivan, and I've always thought that's of all the places I would like to go visit outside the United States, that's probably one. And I think it's because it's kind of tropical, isn't it?
You're wrong.
I'm wrong?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize for correcting you this way, but if you go to Puerto Rico, you are not outside of the United States.
I know that. Yeah.
Within United States.
Yeah.
Like it or not, it's a Commonwealth, just as Boston is.
Well,
it is just a U.S. territory with almost 4 million.
But I'm saying outside the lower 48 states. I've never gone to Alaska or Hawaii either.
That is different. Going to Puerto Rico is just like going to Hawaii.
Yeah. That's what I say. I've never even been to Hawaii.
Got it.
Just something about flying a plane that long over water just frightens me. I did have the opportunity one time while at a friend's house in South Florida. He was in, I want to say just north of Miami, and we were on his boat. And he said, I got enough gas. We can go to the Bahamas in about an hour on the boat. And I'm like, I think I could almost do that on the boat for an hour. Yeah.
I really prefer to take the plane.
Yeah. Probably if I took a plane out of Miami to get there, it'd be a different story. Taking a plane from like Dallas to go to like Hawaii, I got to get me good and liquored up, man. I can't take flights that long, man. I don't know why. Well,
I usually grab a very good book, and either gonna be reading or sleeping in the flight. That's what I'm gonna be doing. So for me, it's a joy to fly.
So that's the other thing. I do a lot of before the pandemic, I did a lot of flights to Los Angeles, and I would do the early morning flight to Los Angeles. I have an event that day. I fly to Los Angeles. I leave here at 6 a.m. I land there at 8 a.m, and it's a long day. All right, but because I got up so early, very little sleep, I pass out in the plane for about 25, 30 minutes, and that's enough to calm me to get to LA. So
nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I'm living in Dallas.
Yeah.
And yes, I love. Yes. Tell me. Sorry for interrupting.
No, let me ask you this though. All right, you moved to Dallas 7 years ago. All right, did you move here for business, or did you move here and able to operate your business from anywhere?
It was a moment in my life where I decided that it was important for me to move out of the island. I felt at that moment that I needed to change my pond from the small pond. I felt at one moment that I was a big fish in a small pond, so I needed more water and a bigger ocean. Let's put it that way, to swim. And thanks God I did it, because here I have had the opportunity to explore other options. Back there, I was too entertained doing many things. And now that, in that sense, I have simplified my life professionally, and now is when I open my eyes to internet business and the huge opportunity. I keep not only contacts, even myself, my phone number is from there, but I keep real estate there and family members living in the islands. So yes, I am eventually. My plan is to visit the island at least twice per year, and then being between Dallas and Puerto Rico, a couple of months here, a couple of months there, and back and forth.
Yeah, I've always wondered on the, you know what I mean? Keeping like an island house and then like, having a main house. I've always thought about that idea. My wife likes beaches, so we had a lake house here for a long time. But we've thought about that idea. Like, I wouldn't mind having a beach house until I see like a big hurricane come through, and I'm like, I don't know if I want that beach house anymore.
You can enjoy the beach without being actually in the beach. So close to the beach, where the hurricane is going to hit very hard.
Yeah.
Regardless if you decide to go to Florida and buy a beach house in Florida, or going all the way to Puerto Rico and buying a house or an apartment over there. But yes, I keep real estate over there, and I haven't visited the island a couple of years now, but I'm planning to do it next year. Let's see.
Cool. So, I mean, what is it that you are doing here for business? What is your line of work, and what do you do to help people?
As I said before, I have simplified a lot what I used to do back in Puerto Rico. Because at what time I had 10 different active professional licenses. And that was driving me a little bit crazy. I was spending too much time doing too many things at the same time. Here, basically, I divide my time between developing my online business, doing coaching online, and education, and also as an attorney, doing not only the regular legal consultant, but working with some partners that I have back in the island, and we serve around the world clients, corporate clients, basically. Okay. So that's what I do.
Where are a majority of your clients now? Are they still over there in the islands, or do you have clients all over the world now?
State level, they are back in the island, in Puerto Rico. Federal level, I will say all over the globe. That will include clients from England and other countries. Mm-hmm. But yes, I will say at this moment it's like 50-50. I will say
50-50. Okay. And what when you said coaching, what is it specifically that you're coaching them with and working with them on that?
Well, I love to read. I love to learn. In the process of learning, I stumbled upon neuro-linguistic programming, and I became certified as a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic and hypnosis. After that, once I moved to Dallas, I discovered the Master Key system. I took the course. I loved the course. I took it again. The third year, I decided to become a guide, and the fourth year practicing the master key system, I decided to become a master guide, and that allows me to give coaching, putting in practice what I have learned in neurolinguistic and the master key system with clients literally all around the world. That includes Romania, Spain, Italy, Argentina, Puerto Rico, and of course the States.
So, I mean, in your study of, I've always been interested in people who studied NLP and neuro-linguistic programming. And what was when you started studying NLP? What was some of like the big revelations you came to in your own life? You know what I mean? Like, when I studied some of it, I'm like, oh my God, now I know why I think that way. But yeah.
I remember the first time I was exposed to the subject of neurolinguistic. I took a very short seminar in the university, one university back in Puerto Rico. And I remember telling the instructor, I said, man, I don't know what I am here. I think I might be wasting my time. That's what I told him the very first day. The very last day of the training, which was like a week training, I told him, oh my gosh, now I take my words back one by one. I swallowed, and let me tell you, now I know why I'm here. And I'm going to become your favorite student. I'm going to get certified. And I did. I took the basic training, and then the most advanced training. They became master practitioner and hypnosis, certified as a hypnosis in clinical hypnosis. The wow factor was, besides learning about personalities, types of personalities, was learning the power of our subconscious mind, understanding and how to use my subconscious mind, and also learning how to reach to the subconscious mind willingly and unleash that power. Along with the classes that I took in neurolinguistic, I also took one training of neuro learning and speed reading. After taking that, I decided to study law. My previous profession was a professional engineer and also a real estate broker. I decided to study law and get back to university to study law. I gotta confess, applying what I learned in neurolinguistic in this new profession of law while I was studying in university, the subject that took me more time studying, the actually sitting and studying, the subject took me 8 hours in all, and was evidence, was the most tough subject in the whole career. And I ended up graduating magna cum laude and second in my class. The only reason I didn't ended up being first because they didn't take into consideration my first semester, because I studied my first semester in a different university. Otherwise, I would have ended up being number one in my class. And because I used the technique that I learned, to unleash the power that we all have, but we don't come to the manual. We don't know how to use it. So that's, in terms of neurolinguistics, my most important wow. Master key system, another different story. That's the one that every day I thank God for realizing that existed and learning about the master key system. So.
And it sounds like, since going through the NLP, and a lot of people I see with this too, Ivan, is it becomes this like opening to education in their life, because they now look at everything they learn with new eyes. You know what I mean? New awareness and everything, because it's like it does. It's almost like it opens up a whole brand new you. Did you find that to be true yourself?
It is. You just said the key word. Awareness is you become aware of your surrounding, of yourself, and how we interact with everybody else and with ourselves. We spend perhaps 11 hours per day talking to ourselves, and we didn't realize that. We don't realize that.
Yeah.
And every day we are talking to ourselves all the time.
And I know our mothers and fathers made fun of us. They told us not to talk to ourselves. All right. But no, really, we do talk to ourselves. And I read a book in the 1990s, the early 1990s. This is before I'd ever heard the term NLP. Was called What to Say When You Talk to Yourselves. Do you remember that book?
Yes, excellent book.
Yeah. And it was literally, and at the time, some of the people I hung around with in the world were like, oh my God, that's taboo stuff. You know, I'm like, no, do you not understand what the book's trying to tell you is you're talking to yourself in your head all damn day long. You got to just change what you're saying if you want to be successful. And, you know, to me, that book there was my awareness and eye opener. And that was, I want to say 1993, around there is when I first opened that book. Yeah.
It is. I'm going to give you one example. My group of master practitioners, when we were finishing the course, we decided to go scuba diving. Mm-hmm. Before that, I was afraid of swimming in the ocean, even swimming in the swimming pool, period. I was afraid of being in water where my feet didn't touch the
kind of like being afraid of planes. Yeah, okay.
But we decided to go. We received the very basic training the night before, and then I received a hypnosis session just like 30 minutes before getting to the water. And 30 minutes later, I was not at the first. We were open water, swimming, and then we got back, put all the scuba gear, and we got back to the open water and got down 35 feet, something like that. It was like, holy moly! Like yesterday, I was afraid of being in the water where my feet didn't touch the bottom of the ocean. Now I'm just swimming with 35, 40 feet away from the bottom of the ocean. And now I'm swimming and diving into the ocean. And that was amazing. And then when I learned how we create our set of values, set of belief, and how we can change that literally from one day to another. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, holy, this is really powerful. And I think one very important aspect of learning neurolinguistics is learning the ethics of practicing neurolinguistic, because it's really powerful. Mm-hmm. So yes.
You know, I've never been scuba diving myself. All right, so this is something I could probably. There's a lot of things I've not done, and I look at it and wonder now if they are not fears in my life that I avoided them. You know what I mean? And I wonder if, like, reading the book for me, that book that I read in 1992 and gave me the awareness for business, if not going through an NLP course would help me get the awareness of my surroundings and know enough to remove fears that I may have, say, against stuff like that. Do you, in working with your clients, do you find that any of them, when they get in to start learning in things like NLP and studying this in their own lives, that they pull fears out and they get rid of fears all of a sudden? Do you find that with your clients or no?
Yes, but it's a personal decision. I cannot erase a fear from you if you don't want to erase that fear from you. Coincidentally, a week ago, I was watching a video from Will Smith, and he said that fear is all in your mind, danger is real. Mm-hmm. And we need to learn to distinguish between what is dangerous and what is just fear, which is just our mind playing games, trying to protect us from that danger. But many of the time, that fear there's no danger behind that fear. It's all in our imagination. It's all in our mind. And it's a matter of learning how to move that curtain that is blinding us from that reality.
So I like that analogy of a curtain, and almost like, One of the life enrichment seminars I talked about, us building walls up around our lives. All right. And the fact that so many of us build walls up and we don't let people in. But like the curtain could be that curtain of blindness. We put a curtain over what the adventure is on the other side of that curtain because of a fear we were told. And that causes us to put a curtain there. And that makes me think about that. Would we go into that fact of trying to get people to open that curtain? All right. You said you can't force me to do it, but how are you helping people to hey, take a peek behind the curtain and let's see?
There's different techniques within the neurolinguistic programming. A couple of things are very powerful. One is getting you in a state of mind where you are, I don't want to say hypnotized, but yes, where you are relaxing, a different state of mind. Mm-hmm. And we ask the person to walk back in their timeline, just to the point before the event happened. If it's a phobia, for example, and we want to cure a phobia, we ask you to walk to the time where just before that happened. And then the technique is called double disassociation, which is, and then it asks you to imagine yourself seated in a cinema watching a movie of that event just before the event happened, just before. It hasn't happened yet. And then asking you to move away from your body, extract yourself from there, and now find yourself in the control room of that cinema, controlling the machine who is projecting the movie.
Yeah.
But now you are in control. Not only you are not living the experience, which is the movie, you are not witnessing the movie, which is the one who is seated in the chair watching the movie. Now you are the one who is projecting the movie. And since you are the one who is projecting the movie, you have the control of the machine who is projecting the movie. Which means now you can start playing with the models. Models are the way we perceive our world, usually by the 5 main senses that we have recognized, like sight, the ability to listen, to hear, to see, to taste, to smell, and to feel. And then you start playing with the colors of the movie. You start playing with the speed of the movie. You start playing with the sounds in the movie, with the voices that you might hear, until you get control of the situation. And that traumatic situation stop being traumatic and start being even funny. After that, is the other technique is very similar, is walking back in the timeline and it's imagine once you have that control and it becomes funny, the experience, you recognize that you survived the experience. Because that's the key. Fear is our subconscious mind trying to protect us for dying. And phobias is when that fear is uncontrollable and we think we literally are going to die. And that's when we have the heart attack and the anxiety and everything else, and for nothing. And it's like people are afraid of snakes or spiders. And why? Oh, because they don't even remember what happened. And when we do that hypnosis session, we discover that, it was something happened when that person was 2 years old. And he or she didn't even remember what happened, but he just literally afraid of the situation.
Wow.
But you learn, and the key is that you always keep the person safe. That's the reason you stop. When you get back in time, you go just before the event happened. And then you rewrite in your mind what happened. You literally substitute your memory of what happened with this new memory that you are creating.
Mm.
where now the experience is not dangerous, it's actually even funny, and now you are in control. And by applying that, I have helped or witnessed, depending both situations, where I have seen people getting cure of fears to roaches or snakes or claustrophobia, whatever other phobia that people might have in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the key is that recognize that keeping the person that you have in front of you safe, or teaching them that there's nothing to fear about, that the danger is not there anymore, and they can go back and control whatever happened and rewrite that piece of information in their brain so they can feel different and respond differently from even remembered experience. Because that's the whole point. Subconscious mind, even though it's very powerful, subconscious mind cannot recognize the difference between what is true and what is false, cannot recognize what is real and what is just fantasy. The same way it cannot recognize that something that is the word no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, that was a big wow to me, learning that subconscious mind doesn't recognize the meaning of the word no. Why is important? When you're talking to a kid and you see a kid, you have a kid in your house and he or she has a glass of milk, for example, and it's just walking with the milk through the living room. What do we usually say? Hey, be careful, do not spill the milk. What's going to happen?
He's going to spill it every time.
He's going to spill the milk, exactly. Why? Because at that age, the subconscious mind has more power. It's almost active. And when you say, do not spill the milk, the only thing that subconscious mind listen is spill the milk.
Oh, wow.
And why is so important? Smokers.
Yeah.
Why smokers is so difficult to a smoker to leave the addiction of smoking, the habit of smoking. Habits of smoking have two different, I interpreted that as two different addictions. The ritual part of grabbing the cigar or the cigarette and putting it in your hand and lighting up and smiling and that process and the chemical part in your brain, whatever is happening. But why so difficult to people to quit smoking or quit drinking or quit overeating? Because usually when somebody wants to stop smoking, said, I don't want to smoke anymore. I want to stop smoking. The problem with that is that you are putting the no in front of the sentence and you're telling to the subconscious mind what you don't want, but the subconscious mind only listened what you want because they doesn't understand the meaning of the word no. Yeah. So when you say, I don't want to be fat anymore, you're telling your subconscious mind, I want to be fat more.
Wow.
Because it doesn't understand the meaning of the word no. And by that, I have learned to talk not only to myself and to people, adults, but also to kids. Mm-hmm. Many times I go very frequently to schools and I have conversation with kids. There's a reason for that. Before moving to Dallas, I was assigned by the Corps of Puerto Rico I handled two different cases, one in federal case and the other was a state case. Mm-hmm. The federal case was a drug case that ended up being a murder case, and the state case was another murder case. Both cases were teenagers, were kids. Mm. And they were proud of killing. Mm. And then that was when it clicked. The class that I used to teach at the university, the criminology 1 and 2, advanced criminology, where I teach, for example, that here in Texas, we build jail cells based on the population of students in 3rd grade public school. That gives you direct correlation of the number of cells that you need to build. And that's sad. And then that's when when I start visiting the schools, that's when I realize how similar the two systems are. Because if you see, it is sad to see that we want to think that we are creating self-fulfilling citizens, that we are creating those, new Newtons and new Elon Musk of the world. But in reality, we are mass producing low-cost blue labor for the marketplace. And we are preparing those kids to be ready to be low-cost blue-collar labor. But the problem is, and if they don't adapt to the society, what we meant to be the society, they already adapted to the system, the penitentiary system. Why? Both systems use uniform. Both systems need to work on the hallways in lines. Both systems tell you when you can eat, when you can play, when you can talk. Both systems are literally the same thing, and we don't realize that.
Wow.
We don't teach. We teach math. We teach history. We teach many things that the kids don't need to learn, especially in elementary. We teach them about verse, adverse, and substantive, and all those stuff. But we don't teach them how to write and read. You have high school kids graduating from high school who reads and writes at second or third grade level. Why? Here in the state, here in Texas. And we teach math. The very last couple of weeks, they are supposed to learn every single grade level financial math, but we don't teach them the importance of saving, the importance of planning their financial, the importance of handling those finances, the importance of filing taxes and paying taxes correctly, the importance of protecting from paying excess of taxes, the importance of investing money. We don't teach that. And hello, and now I'm talking as not only as a professor and a teacher that has been an educator that has been in the system since 1998. Now I'm telling as a student, I am a professional engineer. I am a professional appraiser. I am a real estate broker. I am an attorney at law, admitted to practice law in 10 different federal courts, including the Supreme Court of the United States.
Wow.
None of my professions taught me anything about how to handle my business. Real estate, yes, we have some classes because some real estate agents ended up being real estate brokers. Eventually, they have their own office. Yeah. But in reality, we don't teach how to handle the finances. We teach them, and they taught me to be an employee, not to be an entrepreneur.
You're right. I know that for a fact.
Business owner.
Same thing. Yep.
And that's remind me the book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Herbert, who says many entrepreneurs want to be is because they are technical, they are very expert in their field, and they don't want to keep working for another, and they have an entrepreneurship seizure, and they create a business, but not knowing how to handle the business. And that is the reason that 95% of all the business fails in the very first 5 years.
Yeah.
It's because the educational system fails. I agree with. I will never take away my degrees and the knowledge that I acquire and my education that I acquired in the university and the different institutes where I have studied. But I gotta admit that Elon Musk is right. Elon Musk says, I'm not an aeronautic engineer, but I have read a lot of books about that. I have mingled with a lot of very, very smart people. I have learned enough to be the chief engineer of my company. And now he is, he's literally the only one who is here in backyard in Texas, actually, the SpaceX, flying rockets because of him. Before that, $2 billion every single rocket that we try to put via NASA. Now is how much? Like 40, $80 million per rocket per fly.
Yeah. No.
Definitely he's a genius, but he's a proof that not necessarily what we learn at university prepare us to life.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare us, especially if you have a high degree diploma, prepares you to a career within the system once again.
Mm-hmm.
And you share a very good last name, a family name, you might be becoming the head of the family business eventually.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be in a work. And decades ago, it was okay, graduate, get a job, stay in that job for 30 years, and you're going to be eventually going to have a retirement plan, and you're going to you're going to have a happy retirement. The reality is that that's not true. At least our reality, that's not true. Now we are jumping from one job to another, from one company to another, and we think that we have a safety net, and we don't have a safety net. The reality is that the safety net that we might acquire, if we don't plan that, we are going to end up welcoming people in Walmart, and that is sad.
It is very sad. So
it is sad.
So anyway, Ivan, it's been a great talk with you here today. I've discovered a lot, to tell you the truth. But as we get closer to the end of the show here, I want to make sure everybody finds a place that they can get a hold of you. The best website they can reach out to you is?
So far is ivan-remus.com. That's the website. From there, you can find me everywhere else.
Okay, cool. I want people to go check you out. All right. Because man, you are a very, very wise person to be on the show today. I appreciate your information. So
thank you.
Before we go though, Ivan, I've got my little 9-question this or that quiz for you.
Excellent.
You ready to play a game, right?
Let's go for it, man.
Number 1 on our 9-question quiz is Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek, 100%.
You're a Kirk or Picard guy.
Man, the creator of Star Trek is a genius, and we thank him many inventions that we use in daily basis. The fax, the cell phone, the microwave, many other inventions. So 100%.
I'm still trying to figure out when he's going to figure out how for us to beam me up.
We will eventually.
I still want to be beamed somewhere. That's my next goal. Yeah.
I was wondering if those TikTok videos are that in the future, that they're somehow visiting us.
Wait a minute.
Not from another planet, but for another time period.
Ivan, I read a thing on Star Trek. Do you know why they use that idea of beam me up? Is to save money in the original filming. Because they did not want to have to create and film a device,
starship that moved them.
Another ship moving to a planet and moving back. So they just designed a room. And they basically put everybody standing in the room, and then they just had them disappear out of the room and appear onto the planet. And literally that saved them money. And I'm like, oh my gosh. A thing that is now quoted, beam me up, was like a money saving thing for the movie.
Eventually, it might become a saving money for us in the future.
Yeah, it would be great.
Quantum mechanics is there. Exactly. Yeah. Yes, 100% the Star Trek.
Yep. All right. So how about this one? Water balloon fight or snowball fight?
A snowball.
You're a snowball. You're a guy who lived in the South your whole life. You don't know what a snowball feels like.
A snowball fight, definitely. I have had very bad experience with water balloons, so I rather to try with the snowball.
How about this? All right, in our audio and reading world, all right, we've talked about books and stuff. Are you somebody who listens to podcasts or audiobooks, or do you like to read books?
I always read books.
Always read books. Okay.
I do both. If I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts. But the rest is reading. my main heyday when I moved to Dallas was my 2,500 books, what to do with them. So I ended up sending them to Arizona, where they scan the books and digitalize the books. And now I have all those files in a Dropbox file, master Dropbox file. Yes, I love to read.
That's good. How about this? Since you live down here, for food, hamburger or taco?
When can we go to Fuzzy's, man? I'm ready to Fuzzy's. Let's go to
taco.
Fuzzy's. Yes, let's go to Fuzzy's. I love hamburger.
Yeah.
And usually when I go out, I ended up asking for a hamburger, but I will never refuse a taco.
Yeah. Oh, no. Fuzzy's was my favorite. You know what I mean? Years ago, that became my favorite. I've tried a few others. I still say the best taco I've ever had was a guy who made tacos out of the trunk of his car at the car wash.
Oh,
that
wow.
was his whole side business. You know what I mean? He came and fed all those guys at the car wash. Still, the hands down greatest tacos. Some of them little places are best. So, how about beer or wine?
Wine. I don't drink beer.
You don't drink beer?
My last beer was in 1994, May 18, 1994. How do I know that? It was my last test in my career as an engineer. I exited the test. I went back to my apartment. I opened my beer. I drank my beer. I smoked a cigar from Cuba that somebody gave me. I saw the can. I said, "You are the last one I'm going to drink in my life." And that was indeed the last one I drank.
Cool. How about vacation? Are you going to the beach person or up to the mountains?
Both, but I love the beach. I love the Caribbean. So yes.
Well, come on. You grew up in a very, very Caribbean type place, dude.
I actually grew up in Venezuela.
In Venezuela? Okay.
Yes, that's the reason somebody say hello from Venezuela.
Yeah, I see the person say hello from Venezuela.
My,
so I love it.
My whole family from Puerto Rico, but I grew up in Venezuela.
Cool. How about this? Because of where you've come from, and now you live in Dallas, the heart of this, but soccer, football, or American football?
Both. That I cannot decide. When I was a kid, I usually loved to watch football, American football.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, I used to play soccer. Last time I played soccer for real, I almost killed a guy. He actually went flatline.
Wow.
Because we were playing, I shoot, and he jumped from behind trying to hit the ball with his head. But he hit the ball with his head. Then the ball wasn't there anymore. And I hit, my leg was already swimming. So I ended up hitting his head. Right here, I fractured his skull. We needed to send him to emergency, and during the operation, he went flatline. So that was the last time I played soccer.
Wow. That would scare me out of it too. That would be a wild break in front
yes, but I don't watch the sport.
Yeah, I don't watch that much sports either. I kind of watch the Mavericks. We're a basketball family here, but yeah, I'm not really into that much sports. But I'll watch it because it's the family does. That's it. But yeah.
Yes.
How about this one here? Since you live in Dallas, all right, it's an American thing. The toilet paper, does it go over on the roll or under?
Something that you don't know. Besides being an engineer and attorney, I am a patent attorney. And the patent for toilet paper says that goes over the toilet roll. For real.
But which, yeah, I know what the patent says, but do you do it?
I am an engineer. If somebody designs something to be using a certain way, trust me, I am the guy who reads instructions before assembling anything. I read instructions.
I'm a rebel. If the engineer patent says to go one way, I'm going to go the other way just to be a rebel.
No, for me, it's over the roll. Yeah. Every time I see it the other way, I change it.
That is the most controversial question in all my interviews, right there. So
for me, there is no controversy. The patent, the guy who created said that this goes over the roll. That's it.
All right, my last question for you, Ivan, on this or that is boxers or briefs?
Boxers. So either way, I think boxers.
Boxers?
Yeah.
I'm wearing a boxer. I went to these boxer brief things. I like them better. They're in between.
Yeah, exactly. It is indeed in between. That's my son was the one who taught me about those. I didn't know about those until he taught me, and now those are my favorite. Period.
Yeah. Well, Ivan, one more time, say your website so people both on the audio as well as the video can get a hold of you and get to find you.
It is Ivan-Remus.com.
All right. And the last name's R-E-M-U-S, right?
That is correct. R-E-M-U-S.
Cool. All right. Well, Ivan, I thank you for being our guest today, showing up and sharing with us some great and valuable information. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be with us today.
Thank you, man, for the invitation. I really enjoy being with you in your program. I'm talking with you. It has been a pleasure ever since I met you a couple of weeks ago with Ross. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So to you, the listeners, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. All right. If this is your first time listening to our broadcast, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as subscribe to us where you get your podcast, Tim Gillette Show. I'm Tim Gillette today with Ivan Remus. Go check him out, ivan.remus.com. All right. And in the meantime, I'll be back with another great guest, really cool person in the real near future. Until then, have a great day, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.